aber nicht, das ist nicht der Emser. In Dorten ist du a Gestalt, wo sagst Menachem Mendel. Menachem Mendel in Viertel an der Ruf ist die
His father was the caretaker of the cemetery. His father was the one who took care of putting us together. His memory.
Du schauen den durchstellt, das ist das symbolische von der Demorete. Kinder Familie von Deutschland. Und moje Umdenken. Also die Demorete Familie. Nicht kann mit zwei sein und Mutter.
This is a monument from a family, different families that wanted to. They don't know where they're buried, so they put a monument here.
Schreibt das so.
This says the following.
Felix Wallischko.
Felix Wallischko.
Ich bewein bis mein Ende Leben, bis mein Sof Leben. Dem Tod von meiner Mutter Fremet, für mein Vater Motto, für mein Bruder Bernhard, von mein geliebte Mädel Eve und die ganze Familie.
He said
Demordete durch die Nazis in Juli 1943.
He said this tombstone reads that I cry for my entire life for my mother Fruma, my father Matala, my brother Bernard, my sweet girl Eve, and all the people who were murdered by the Nazis in 1940. And it was put together, this was 1987, this was made.
Dus het tweede maal van
Eger, Nechet, Kiva Eger, Nailad here, Quran, Poland, Shnas Tarma. Nifsha. He was a grandson of a great.
I don't want to laugh now.
Hey, Alan.
Hi. Pretty impressive. Hey.
Sarah, bring everybody with me. Please bring everyone. They asked why. Sarah, the reason why. We don't have that much time. The only reason this place was not destroyed was because the Germans, the Russians were on the other side of the Stula River. Otherwise, the Germans were going to destroy this cemetery.
You're not pressing the button.
Oh, no, it's all right. No, once you press it once, it's okay.
This used to be a shul, right over here. And over here, Moshe Kozovitsky made Kel Malei Rachmim.
Und du hast gewesen neulich das Karrestiefel.
The
Karrestiefel.
Star?
Karrestiefel, es hat gemacht ein Mess.
Oh, over here they also had the house of the Tahara where they prepared the bodies. They had a mixer here.
If I walk into a wall, tell me.
That's right.
Thank you.
Be careful, that's kind of bumpy.
They're taking these old stones.
Wait, people have to catch up. People have to catch up. So,
This family, Mendelsohn and Friedman, made this in 1907, and this was so they could, when you left the base of the forest, you could wash your hands. And over here, this is in Polish. The translation of the halacha from the Shulchan Aruch. Here, it says, Kabbalah Sakadmainim, that's that Hayatim Beis Hakfaris, or Mishanaga B'Meis, who are then Afiloi Naga, Rachnichs B'Meis, Abalavis B'Meis, Shrichim Mitil Yadayim, Magen Avram. So they had the law that anybody who goes into a cemetery, even if you don't, or you touch a body, or you follow a casket, even if you don't touch the body, you have to wash your hands. That's with Magen Avram. So they have it here in Hebrew, and that's why it's Polish. This is already 80 years old. This was over here.
yeah.
These are being restored. These monuments.
Die Zeit ist schon about 100 Jahre.
These are over 100 years old. This is art. In the United States, all they do is take a piece of stone and they carve out some names. But this is famous. The different kinds of art they have on the tombstone. Shnas Toka. Do you notice anything strange about this cemetery? Do you notice anything unusual?
The grave. Trees. What, is there an answer?
Do you notice anything strange about the cemetery?
The trees.
Trees. How many times have you been in a cemetery that has trees?
I feel like I'm in the woods.
Look, you ever see trees in the middle?
Why did they do that? Maybe they just hide it from in the way of the grave. I mean, look what it's doing, but it's still, I think it's beautiful. 1841 to 1910. That's like how I walk up
Fine, what do you want?
Did you see him trying to walk up this damn thing? Just stand. It's funny. It's original.
Now, isn't this interesting? See the art is in Polish over here. Notice the difference.
Silverman and Silver Birds.
Birds and swagons. No, not birds and swagons.
Trees. Never trees at cemetery. It means it must have been for so long not taken care of. So long.
Like the woods, like in the forest.
It takes so long for a tree to start growing. John, so anyway, also I'm walking around it, and I figured, it's a big tomb, so they're on four sides. There's a door, open. I freaked out my mind. Started running. I think another one I saw something in there. There are cats all over the place in there, so I ran the rest of the way here. Just freaked out my mind. Mosquito, right next to me. Keep going.
Der einzige verbliebene Tochter in New York, drei Gepellte, was du nicht. Wenn die jetzt. Heißt er, bei der Jury heißt er, dritte Community jetzt. Nach Englisch ist es schwer, aber es ist eine Community. Du ist auch bloß beerdigt, der Salme fritt zwischen anderen Bundisten, Indie-Bundisten. Du, was you get to do?
I want to cut the trees down.
Who, Rabbi, who?
Ask him to translate.
Rabbi,
Why don't they cut the trees?
Why was there a
Like that?
Don't you realize that for so long this graveyard must have been not taken care of? That for trees to establish a growth and to grow as high and strong as these are,
That they would kill this for
very,
bleachers.
very sad.
Put up that
Yeah, I don't understand this.
Why are there trees here?
Why are there not?
Been taken care of. All the Jews left. They didn't really give a damn about Jews. So.
Sorry.
Oh, me.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
So you mean they didn't need for their...
That's why you gotta keep your other eye
The
on
grass
the
stand,
camera.
okay? Another pad. Something like
Nein, genug nicht.
Treblinka and told people what happened. His brother, two brothers and
Nein,
sisters.
nicht du, Zeitungskrieg.
Gonna go to suicide?
Zeitungskrieg, aber schon nicht
Yeah,
so.
No,
right.
one that went to
His
suicide,
brother and
Sinai?
sister, two sisters and a brother buried here. And after the war, they were outside of Varsha, outside of Warsaw. And somebody came up, they were killed after the war. After the war.
Nur dem gefunden, was hergebracht wird, jüdische Säule mit dabei.
Hey.
Die drei Feinde, das ist ein Emblemat für die Juden zu tun.
Oh, that's the front.
I don't. Sounds like
Of the Bund,
I don't talk like so.
the Jewish organization.
What's the Bund? Jewish
It
organization.
was the Bund was a Jewish organization.
Labor.
Labor, socialist, yeah? Did they give up on this?
Is this an original cemetery, or did they make this after the war?
Just do me a little favor just for now, okay?
Long before the war began.
So actually, where these plots of land are, where these tombstones are, is that the actual plot?
I'm walking here with John Green, and this is what is going through his mind. He's going to be commenting as we walk along here.
Yeah, I'm just going to point out certain things.
Okay, speak loud, John.
Yeah, okay. Hey, right, but 1849. Howie, right there, 1849.
Where?
1849. Straight right there. Hold on.
But wasn't this area also bombed?
Yeah,
This is not the
no, it wasn't. They said it wasn't as much because the Russians.
John, continue.
What?
John,
It wasn't bombed because of the Russians.
I hope that's you, John. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here.
What else are you thinking here now? We're walking along.
Notice how the graves are so close together. That means they've been moved. And the trees and all.
What?
They've been moved probably, right?
No, that means that they were running out of room, so they slammed people closer and closer together.
But you can't do that. Some of them aren't in the original places. It's a fact.
Some of them are, you're right, but all these ones aren't.
This is
It's good, it's good, Keith. Good, Keith.
You like that? Where are you going?
Did you notice any famous names so far?
Where?
Did you notice any names, John?
No, I haven't seen any yet that I've...
Did you see Rabbi Ager?
You
Did
saw
you
it?
see where it said Ager on the back? Relative of the Rabbi Kiva Ager?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. I mean, why don't we do this under your eyes? You think that's like this?
That
Check
was-
that one out. This right here.
Which one?
This one right here, the rocks. It's very interesting.
Where does it say anything?
It says right there in the middle. It has stuff.
What is it?
Whoa, 1836 to 1907. Doberman, something. I can't read it. Throw it out. You get that one? This one's also right there. No, Max Salberg.
Incredible, like, the stuff they did. They're before their time. Time was it in the days
Seth, what are these, Seth?
Fearful of God, is pure. Do you think we should reconnect this one over here?
Seth, what are these?
I say with MD.
Seth, what are you reading?
His brothers and sisters cried bitterly.
Get this one over here, Howie, underneath. This thing over here afterwards.
Wait, Seth, can you read it out loud? Seth? Seth, is that you?
Read it out
Yeah,
loud.
that's me.
Can you go there and read it?
Why? Oh. Okay. Oh yeah, Noach ish rav me alavim et l'rtzah l'tzra ra le'omlelim koter migaza mishpacha yisra ben 50 ושלוש נפשו נגזרה איש משקיע שומר מצווה ותורה ירא אלוקים נפש טהורה אחי ואחיותיו יצעקו מרה אשתו מכוננת בורם העטרה ואם גם לא הסעיר בנים בכל זאת חלקו לא יגרע הרע מצבא גל הענבים ומעשיו הטובים יגרע לו זרע.
What do you make out? What do you understand from that?
Apparently this was an important person, and I gather that he didn't have any children, and it says that his brothers and sisters cried bitterly, and his wife also, I think. And that they wish that he had children. I think it's the last few lines what they mean. I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Ready? Jonathan, go ahead. Explain what you know about this.
Who's Jonathan?
Jonah, I'm sorry.
What do I know about it? This guy's name is Avram Gershon ben Rav Yisrael Pinchas HaKohen Edelstein.
How do you know he's a Kohen?
Because it says HaKohen, and because the fingers at the top, it's the sign of a Kohen.
Okay.
What they use when they bless people, when they do chum.
Matilda. Matilda Z something Lasmano. Lasmanov. No, it's Lasmanov and Landau, but yeah, right.
What does it say, John?
Matilda Z Lasmanov.
Marat Malka Reb Shmuel.
What year?
Sure. 1905. Tough Nun Samach Base, hey?
That's what it says on all of them.
Wow.
Yeah? Oh, it does. Get the ones around it. Maybe there's some.
No.
There's a different one here.
You come down, this thing right here on the front. It's got dates.
Maurice?
Go. Before you leave, hurry up.
Okay.
You're rolling.
Thank you very much.
Shoe me.
That's what they get when they let me do the filming.
There's synagogue there. It's a Z-I-A. I don't know. Z synagogue? Maybe it's a Z. Rabbi, what is this?
Rabbi, what is it?
Rabbi Lowenbraun? What is this? What?
There was a yard sale very recently. There's just candles. Melted wax.
Ich will geben ein bisschen Geld, er wird sein zufrieden.
Wil ik hem zoeken, zodat het zie via bij uit de 5 uur.
It took a walk from the pool to the cat house. You can tell it. It was really sick. I had a parrot king and walked
This is a monument for Janis Burchak, Henry Goldschmidt, Hirsch Goldschmidt. He was a doctor, and he had a orphanage, and he would, if anybody would take for a patient, he would do it so that they would support his orphan home, and his entire life was devoted to the Jewish children in the orphanage. And as you heard the story, he was, they were going to take the children to be killed, and he went with them. And then he did carry one to the gas chamber.
Eer het zo'n kind ratten ben, bij de Polakken hebben we ook al
I'm sorry.
Die Reichsten Zugang zu ihm, die sucht da, die ist frei, für nein. Die Zeit zusammen mit meinen Kindern.
He had the opportunity to be saved, but he said no. Even the Polacks were willing to save him. He said, no, I'm going to go with my children. Yeah.
It makes it look like the concentration camp. We hear the stories of how all the people would see is the black smoke coming when they came into
Grave.
the
The Semes, the first Rabbi from Adma Mugor.
Can you point to the names, please?
Here. This is Avram Mordechai's Farnalocha, right? To
He had a small guy.
Chaim. Ben Harav Yitzchak Meir Ben the Chedush Yerim. He was the son of the Chedush Yerim.
And
Let's
this,
go to his father.
and this Eliezer Yosef Alter is Mebiale.
This is Biala.
SMS, yeah, the Biala.
Biala Rabbi. Let's say Kabbalah. Shema Tzimah.
What are these?
You walk over the graves. You walk over the graves.
Michelle.
Rabbi, you gonna say it out loud?
Yeah, if I have a sitter. Who has a sitter for me? But tell him. Let's go to the other one.
I have one about.
Let's go. Here,
I have siddur in my bureau. In my bureau.
What?
In my bureau is siddur.
Ich habe people.
No, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Are you take care of your?
Yes, I'm working here. I am an undertaker. Yeah, I am director of this.
Okay, how many Jews are buried here? I felt very indifferent to everything. I think I just not that like you were said to us about
light.
going. We weren't really joking around at the monument.
It's ringing
But that's
light.
another thing.
Blinking
That
light.
we just seen so much
blinking light.
about the Holocaust, and not here. But so much like when you go to JCC and you see an exhibit.
I mean, seriously,
Or
like,
your
it's
mother
blinking
brings
the
some
white light.
books, and we got the reading material for
It's still
Benjamin we sent to everybody. You read it and you look at it, and not that I expected a whole bunch from Poland, because I was expecting like worse treatment and everything like that. But like when you go to see that museum, like I thought it was a great experience because you have to understand it is in Poland and they're allowing something like that. But of course I feel for the people that were killed. But I don't feel like breaking down and crying and saying, my God, this is a place. When I first came here, I was looking around and saying, people were once, like if you were just here, like it'd be like New York. Every other person would be wearing a yarmulke, a black hat, a strime or whatever. But now there's nothing. But it's been so much, and when we were young, it was put into us, and we know about it. But I just don't feel like crying or anything. I just felt very, like I was like just learning about it, like history. I wasn't really experiencing it, being a part of it. Maybe in Auschwitz it'll be different because that's where it all happened. But at the museum and at the graveyard.
How could you be part of it if you weren't? How could you be part of it?
I mean, by remembering, I figure I'm being a part of it.
How can you remember something you never saw?
By books and pictures and going to museums. But I just feel very I just don't. Not that I'm not sad that everything happened. But
I spoke to two people today. I was looking at the stories. I couldn't get any stories out of it. He saw how they told 700 or 800 Jews in his work camp to take a walk, and then the Germans came by with a machine gun on a jeep and shot everybody down. I mean, he saw them kill 700 people, 800 people on the spot. Or I was speaking to this Mr. Seidemann at the Varsha synagogue, and he told me how he saw the two babies on the third floor on the grounds in the Jewish hospital, and how Rumkowski and Rush took 500 of the nicest Jews to hang with that handkerchief. So I mean, people see experiences like that. It's different than us. I'm happy to. Yeah, John.
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you've been pushed. You've heard like zillions of stories. And every story, I mean, it's about something that's totally either a great heroic event or something extremely, extreme, whatever. And I mean, it's just like so much of it. You know a lot of it, and like after a while, it's just okay. This is another one. I mean, they're saying, but you don't feel it as much. First one, and same with the museum. I mean, the same stuff you can see in different places. I mean, like if you went to the Heritage Museum, you saw that stuff, Czechoslovakia, it was like the same kind of stuff. It wasn't much different. This one you couldn't even read. It was
I
all
can say something just for a second.
Yes, you finish your point yet?
you couldn't, I mean, like in the cemetery and all that.
It's her turn.
I just say what 1 second.
It's her turn.
It was the same exact feeling as like, I mean, there was 6 million Jews in the Earth. I mean, it's also astronomical. It's like, you can even look at it as that there were zillions of graves and it was also astronomical. That's just different.
I also felt the same way as they did because
The only time that I really felt moved at all today was when we were like singing it all together, and it like added an atmosphere to the entire thing. But I mean, when we went through the museum, I think it was just facts. There was, some people like they saw the movie or whatever it was about the people on some of the pictures. But I've never seen the movie. I assume. I mean, going to high school, I haven't heard all the stories that other people have, and I haven't seen all the movies. But I still didn't feel moved very much. I mean, also I'm really sad about what happened, and it's not that I don't feel anything, but the museums and just the monuments really didn't affect me very much.
That's what I was saying.
Seth is next turn, and then you'll get a chance.
Yeah, I had something else I wanted to say. I think when I came to Poland, and I was telling this to a few people, when I came to Poland, I tried to picture what Poland was going to be like. And I knew it wasn't going to be like this, but the only way I could picture Poland was black and white with tanks and burning bombed out buildings in the background. And I knew it wasn't going to be like that. But I think I was very shocked when I realized that Poland was so beautiful. Because, when you walk around, they have all these parks, and I realize they have billions of monuments. They remember everything that ever happened. But they have some beautiful parks. And all this, I realize it's all been built up in the past 40 years because it was all bombed out with tanks and burning buildings in black and white. And when the Nazis went through.
It was color, they smell.
Well, it's color, fine. But
the smell is what you thought it was
like it really, it really surprised me, and I think in many ways, I had thought that being able to see Poland, as like the pictures show it, with like rubble all around and everything, was going to be much more distressing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's so beautiful that I don't think it would be hard to come here and think that you were just in a very pretty city somewhere. And I thought it was distressing, like the whole thing, he's going through all the history of Poland, and none of us came here to hear the history of Warsaw, right? We were all bored out of our minds, and nobody was listening. But they do,
I was.
Except for Michelle, and they do have a fascinating history, and they have a beautiful country, and that was very shocking to me, because I'd always thought of Poland as, except for maybe East Berlin, sort of the epitome of bad in the world, because of what happened here.
Does it look so beautiful to you?
Yeah, it does. Yes.
No, I think it's
one at a time. Yes.
The land is really pretty. Like the parks
That's
are
what I meant.
beautiful, and the trees are beautiful, but the buildings are very ugly. I think.
And the smell of
The architecture is stunning. Well, the hotel is very ugly. Oh yeah, but I don't know. That's how it's hit me.
The museum that we went to was older and not as well. Like not like the museums I know.
I just expect everything to be. I guess from the places in the United States that I've been to in other places or whatever, I expect things to be well kept and not like the buildings are flaking. A lot of buildings are flaking.
Can I comment on that?
I noticed that.
This is the way they want
Can I just say something?
Michelle?
I don't know how many of you stayed up for some unknown reason to watch the movie on the plane.
I did.
But stayed up till I don't know how many people stayed up for the end of the movie, on the plane. I don't know why you would. Soul Man on the plane. But in the event, when he was talking to the black law teacher, and he said, about how now I can, and the teacher said, now you feel how it is to be black, and the guy said, not really, because I could get out at any time. And I think that's really the reason that a lot of people, I know I do, feel pretty much indifferent to a lot of what I'm seeing, because you can get out. You can come back to your, just even to the hotel room where you've got your suitcase full of, Benetton and whatever, and you can, no offense to Benetton, I like it, I have, but but I mean, where that any of this you see, anything bad you see, it's not you. It's not going to be you. And, even if it was before, it isn't anymore. And I think part of it is just being in America and being safe, kind of lose touch with what danger really is, because we don't have.
Seth, you get a chance yet to say something?
Yeah.
So let's get some music here. Rachel?
Rabbi, you told Keith that he could.
No, I'm interluding after everyone had a chance.
I felt very disturbed about the whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
And then I felt that God is really cool and that He doesn't like us. And how could somebody do that to a whole people that He claims that He loves?
How could what?
How could He do that to a people that He claims that He loves and that are His chosen people? Just disturbing.
Uh-huh. That's how you felt. That's a valid, very valid point. Does anybody want to respond to that? Naomi, what do you want to say?
Not really respond, but when everyone does respond, I'd like to hear your view on that, if you have it.
Okay. Okay, respond. Fair enough. Judy, my view on what?
respond.
My view on what?
Can't talk.
My view on what?
Your view on her question, if you
On
have
her
anything to
question.
respond to.
That's a big question. Judy?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that some people might feel indifferent to the museum because I know I
Feel
did.
what?
Indifferent because of the museum tour, because nothing was in English. So I couldn't really understand like the full meaning of it. So it was kind of hard. But in response to what Rachel just said, it's kind of hard to grasp. But whatever God does is for a reason. And it's for a reason even though we don't understand. Keeping kosher, we don't know why, but we do it because the Torah tells us to. Thank you. So it's the same thing with whatever happens in our lives, that although how it might seem that we trip over a stone. Okay, fine, I tripped over a stone, but there's a reason behind it. People could have or did die or got killed. There was a reason behind it.
Okay, can I say something now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to respond to Rachel also. Remember that the letter or the remember the letter or what was it, the note that the person wrote who was dying? He still loves God. He's saying, God, see, because he knows that God's going to love him even more in another world. Because he's saying, God, you're doing everything you can to make me try to hate you. And yet you love, so he can love me, so now he can love me even more when I love him. You know, like when you know, like there's Satan, right? Right? And there's the evil spirit. See, I learned this thing also. I didn't believe this at first, but I learned it. That he tries his hardest to try to make you do bad. But when you do something good, he actually does a little dance. He does a dance saying, I really am happy that you didn't do what I wanted you to do. He wants, don't you understand how much God can love you more? Like some people feel insecure, like does my wife really love me? And really me. I mean, I hate to bring this up, but like he could be me, you could say like, let's say I had a scarred face, right? Does she like my soul? Is that what she loves? What is it? And then maybe I scar my face just to see her. And when she loves me, I can love her even more, and I respect her even more. I hurt myself. I do something. Okay, it's not sick in that respect because the way you're brought up and you don't understand it. This is on a spiritual level, of course. It's sick, of course, to
put people through concentration camps.
And to kill people like that, and mass, like for God to do it to His people. I understand that it's being cruel. You have to understand it's a reason. Also, you have to understand certain people were not saints, and that things did happen. That people, and also the thing was that assimilation was just one other main reason I could just say would be like assimilation. That's one other point. Assimilation was going very, very rapidly in Germany and other countries. And the one thing that you always say is you're different. And I want to also talk about what Michelle said about getting out, also including in that people were going to assimilate. So God wanted to show us something, would show us that we're different. Like He said, it's not. You could be better off being an Englishman. You could be better off being American. But it's better to be a Jew because you have honor, you have respect. You know, I am a Jew. I've been persecuted, and I still am a Jew. And that makes you different, and then you keep your religion making it even more sacred because you know what it's been through. And that's why I want to say to Michelle also that you can always get out because when we were in Howie, we were taking pictures in that little park area yesterday. I was with this Polish soldiers. One of the Polish soldiers I was wearing a hat. I don't think he thought I was Jewish yet. Wanted to put his hat, take off my baseball hat, and put his cap on. And for that second, I felt scared. I honestly felt scared that he was going to do this because I said, let's say he sees my yarmulke, what's going to happen? Is he just going to get mad, push me away? I really didn't know what was going to happen. And I felt fear, and I felt different. Why? Because I was a Jew, because I was wearing a yarmulke, and because I feel different from them. And that's the reason that God does this to us, so we can feel different, not that we feel the same as them.
Well, it's a very dangerous point you made, I think, over there.
Can I answer that?
Can I say one more thing? Okay, one more thing is, the reason I did feel indifferent, in case people think I'm a real cool person, when I hear individual stories, I really feel for the person. I say, that is terrible, it's disgusting. But when I just get in the view and say, well, here's 500,000 people all buried here, goodbye. That's it. But like when we visited the the second Ger Rebbe's grave, I felt something. Cause that's an individual case. I really felt something. That's the only reason I feel indifferent. Because I think sometimes just mass media, and I just feel that's like nothing. But individually, individual cases, like you hear like your best friend dies, you feel something. When you just hear a lot of people were died, even though you're outraged and you feel sick that so many people are killed, you feel indifferent to it. And also because there's no other way to react. How do you react? You say, oh, well, 6 million people died. How do you react to that? You can't really cry. For how many people? I mean, you can only keep on crying for so long.
See, I reacted a little differently. Instead of hearing these big numbers and being indifferent to it, I said, my God, there's so many people. How come we weren't one of those people? And it didn't hit home when I just heard the number or just heard it at home. But when I was, I think this experience today did it. When I was at the actual place, and they said, look, that there's nothing left here that would even tell you what happened there. There's nothing remaining. It was just all cobblestones. And that was it. You couldn't even see what had happened. And all those people were just gone. And then when you saw those individual graves, you said and I saw some of the inscriptions that, like, I saw one that said, Isha Hachashuva Vayikara. It was important and dear. Like to each of those people, each one of those people had people who loved them and had a life of their own, and like we all do. And yet they were taken like that.
I wanted to answer the question about what she said before about why God did stuff like that. Somebody told me, I don't know if it's true, maybe you can tell me, that God only punished us not when we were turning away from Him, but when we were turning to hurt other Jews, and that was when He hit us with a war or with the Holocaust and stuff like that. Only when we were hurting other Jews, not Him. Like when people were converting, out of Judaism, He didn't punish the entire people.
When did this from?
I don't know, probably a session somewhere. I don't remember.
You heard that from somebody?
Mm-hmm.
I heard also.
So where were they hurting other Jews?
He said that that Jews weren't like a family anymore. They were turning away from Judaism and doing terrible things that cheating other Jews and hurting other Jews and talking about other Jews.
You heard that from somebody?
Yeah.
And that's what you believe?
Well, I think that the reason why He may have given us the Holocaust is to bring us back together as a people.
Because we've been assimilating for a long
Because
time.
I mean, after the Holocaust, Israel was created as a state, which brought a lot of Jews together. Even though a lot of people weren't for Israel as a state, it did unite.
Jews are against a secular state.
It did unite the Jews a lot, and it brought us together as a people. So everybody felt more like a family once again, instead of as a scattered people who just happened to have the same religion.
I could kiss you for that comment. I love it so much.
Nuh-uh, Nagina.
You gotta keep that on tape.
Of saying the absolute wrong thing at the wrong time. I am expressing the way I feel. That I respect that this thought gives me great joy, right? So I'm all right. Now, just to respond to that, I surmised that because I once saw a movie at this conference I was for the gathering of Holocaust survivors. They showed a lot of Holocaust movies, and I saw the history of the Jewish people. And what I noticed was that the Jewish culture was very rich. It was also very fragmented. There were Jews. There were this guy. A guy who was in charge of teaching. His life work was Esperanto. What's his name? And one guy was in charge of. Another fellow was then you keep on hearing this. The Buddhists, the socialists, and you had the communists. And these people hated each other. And then you had the religious Jews. They all hated the religious Jews. And the religious Jews hated each other. The Hasidim, the Masnadim, and the Hasidim between each other. And then you had the Yiddishists, the people who were for Yiddish culture. Like this guy talking today. He's married to a shiksa. He was married to two shiksas. The head of that thing.
That's how he does it.
But he's for Yiddish culture. And and then you have there's Jewish people as a cult, as a history. And and if you ever go to a source, that goes back to the time the destruction of the temple was when Jews hurt each other, not when they were hurting God, but they were willing to hurt each other. And the most unfortunate part of the historical world in the time of the Holocaust was the great divisions among Jews. And one of the most beautiful things after the Holocaust was that Jews, you can turn on my lights a little bit, that Jews, for the first time, were all united. I remember, there was no division, there was no fights, but everybody needed everybody. And that's what scares the hell out of me now. That the division among Jews that scares me more than anything. So that's a theory that I had, that I saw it, I sensed it, that was wrong, because life was so beautiful here, except for that. Seth was next, and then Naomi, and then Tiffany. Yeah.
Okay, I also want to answer that question, but I'm going to answer it sort of differently. You know, I've heard all these answers, and I think I classify them all as, party line answers, okay? Honestly, I don't think there is an answer, okay? Because there is an answer. I do not believe there is. Okay.
I'm not answering.
No, I didn't say you were. I wasn't accusing, I wasn't blaming. Listen, I'll interpret myself here, thank you. What I was saying is that, we all say, so the Jews didn't get along, and this and that, but, that's a beautiful thing to say, and I think maybe it's even very true. But you sit back and you think 6 million, and now they're beginning to say 7 million. Not that the extra million wouldn't weigh the difference, really makes an awful lot of difference in our minds. But, you think that's an excuse for killing 6 million Jews, a third of the Jewish nation? And you sit back and you say, no, that's not an excuse for killing a third of the Jewish nation.
I'm not giving excuses.
No, I understand you're not giving excuses, but,
And I want to start off by saying that we'll only have an answer when we become God. As long as we're not God, we don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. But every time, the Jewish way is always to introspect and say, what was wrong? What did we do wrong? What could we have possibly done wrong? And at the Talmud, the Gemara, which we learned about concept by concept, we brought the destruction of the first temple. We have a clue, and we follow that clue. We look at history, we say there's a clue there too. And what we learn from it is we have to stop division among Jews. We have to stop it among ourselves. That's what we have to learn. I'm not giving excuses. There is no answer. I cannot give an answer. Now you can.
Okay, so I understand there's no answer, and that's basically my point. That, we're going to Auschwitz tomorrow, where, it's probably the biggest single Jewish cemetery in the world. And, there are a lot of places lay claim to that, but I suspect it's probably in Auschwitz. And, I've seen pictures, and I'm sure most of us here have, that, of when the British people that come in, the Allies, they came in, and, you see pictures of tractors pushing bodies into the pits because the Germans didn't really clean up after themselves. And the Germans tried to erase it, and, they say that had Hitler stopped trying to kill Jews when he started losing the war and started fighting, which he really did the opposite. He pulled men off the losing fronts and killed Jews. And they say if he hadn't, he could have won the war. And, you sit back and you think, this man, he was a vegetarian because he didn't believe in killing animals. What sort of man was this, And people say he was the Melech HaMavet, the angel of death. Well, I don't think that's true, because I don't think God sent him. I think the only answer that we can really say is that God doesn't mess around in human affairs. And that, basically, he gave Hitler the right to do what he wanted, and anyone who could achieve power could have done the same thing. And did God do it to the Jewish people? Yes, in the sense that he didn't stop it. But he really doesn't stop anything. And I heard that a rabbi once cursed Munich, which is where both Hitlerism and Reform Judaism began. And he cursed them 50 years before the Holocaust, when Reform Judaism began. He said, from there will come destruction. And there came destruction. And you know, I'm not saying that's a reason, but
I ask you a question.
please.
You're saying God has nothing to do with the world?
No, I didn't say anything of the sort. I'm gonna make it come out that way, but that's not what I meant. I mean,
Because then you're saying he's not cool if he had nothing to do with it.
that's what?
I didn't hear you.
Would you say?
It's kind of a nicer thing to say that God doesn't have anything to do with it.
See, I'm not saying that God doesn't have anything to do. And look, my grandfather was one of the major figures in Reform Judaism about.
Your grandfather?
Yeah, 40 years ago. Okay, I'm Balchuva. Samuel Nemzov.
Samuel who?
Nemzov.
Nemzov?
Yeah.
In the United States?
In Boston, yeah.
Boston? Yeah.
Anyways, so he was very big in it, and he died, I don't know, a few years ago. But they had on tape this thing he wrote about Maimonides' 13 Principles of Faith, and I remember hearing it like just before Yom Kippur this year, and being infuriated at some of the things he said, because he kept saying, you know, Rambam was wrong here and wrong.
40 years ago?
No, it was taped. It was taped about 10 years ago.
Grandfather?
Yeah, my grandfather taped it.
Still alive?
No. Why do you ask?
Okay.
Why do you
I
ask?
thought it didn't make sense that something was a speech. You said 40 years ago it was taped.
No. It was taped like 5 or 10 years ago. Anyway, so I heard it just before Yom Kippur, and I was infuriated by some of the things he said. He said about the thing, you know, that God controls everything. He said that he doesn't believe that God can stop a bullet. Like, you know, if a gun was shot at someone, you know, I pointed a gun at someone, chas v'chalila, and I shot it and it was aimed at them. He said that God can't stop that bullet. Okay, well, I think that's wrong, and that wasn't what I was saying. Okay, I mean, with all due respect to my grandfather. What I'm saying is, I don't think God can't mess in human affairs. I think God doesn't. Because God made a promise, basically, to humans that he's going to let us do what we want. That's what we call free choice. Okay, we always say, you know, how can we have free choice if God already knows what we're going to do?
Well, there's a controversy among commentaries whether we have this free choice to kill somebody else. And when they discuss the whole issue between Joseph and his brothers, and Reuben, the eldest, said, throw him in the hole. One of the commentators explained, because Reuben believed that if you're not worthy of it, nothing can kill you. If you're not climbing that up. And the brothers believed that even if you're not worthy of death, you could be killed.
Well, I don't know.
But anyway, there's a difference of opinion, even among the commentators, whether you can kill somebody even if the time is not up. Just this very controversy. So,
okay, well,
those people who may say that
well, I've never heard that, but I must say, upon hearing it, I don't really buy it. I mean, that's the wrong word. I don't accept it. I mean, look, I go to probably the most liberal Orthodox school in the country, and many things in my school wouldn't be said other places. But basically, I feel, and I'm sure it's a product of my environment, that I think it's because God doesn't mess in human affairs. I'm not saying that maybe the Jews deserved it, because I think in many ways they did, but it's still hard to swallow 6 million. And I think the basic answer...
I don't know if we're bordering on God. We don't believe that God is not involved in our
That's not what deism is.
It's not contradicting himself.
Well, he is, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, but that's not
He's saying he thinks that way, but that's not what he's thinking. He's saying he don't feel that way, but that's what he thinks. Okay.
I mean, he keeps saying
We'll
how...
clarify it.
What do I keep saying?
He keeps saying that God just can't not...
No, I didn't say can't. I said
God can't not... what did you say?
Mess around in human affairs.
He doesn't mess in human affairs.
But he can. He could if he wanted to, but he doesn't.
I heard
Okay.
Because we want the freedom
Okay.
to hear.
So he... Okay.
I heard like once from one of my rabbis that God already knows what's going to happen, whether it's good or bad. He already knows what's going to happen, but he doesn't interfere. He lets the Jews or anybody else make up their own mind.
He already predestinated.
Alright, did God interfere when Abraham jumped into the fire?
Yes, but he predestinated it. He didn't interfere. He said he
He
doesn't
made
change
his
himself.
own choice.
God already has everything
He knows
to
what's gonna
Mashiach.
happen.
He doesn't know what happened. He makes what happens.
Should I jump into the fire tomorrow?
And if he made it already, what's going to happen? That's what's going to happen.
But
he's not going to interfere at all.
What's the difference?
There's a
Yeah, I
big
think the
difference.
difference is, first of all, I don't think the promise was
I
made
can make
then.
something and predestinate it and then let it happen, and you're going to say, well, I changed nature. But I predestinated it to change nature. I had it in mind already.
I didn't say Nisim didn't happen.
20 times.
So
and
you
then
took
you're
that.
gonna-
What he's saying is no one changes nature for you unless you already made a law for it to change it before, and therefore you're not changing nature. God set nature in motion to change nature, unless you made it part of nature to change before the creation.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, who had their hand up on this side of the
And Tiffany, then me.
I wanted to say something referring back to our first question, but also back to what she said about it. I thought of it as being like Israel in a way that you go back and you see the actual ruins where things happened, and here everything you come and everything was destroyed, and Warsaw is so beautiful and everything.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
What?
Could you ever tell there was a Jew in the city?
No.
I wish that they could have left.
And
maybe
Warsaw
the
gets-
road-
Besides the cemetery. The cemetery is
guess
one
they
place
can't.
I felt.
Every time that the people joined our group,
Good point. The only place Jewish is the cemetery.
It's the only place I felt like at home.
that exists.
I mean, not at home, because that feels like
The synagogue. I
That's
don't know.
gonna be
The only place Jewish
That's because it was
is the
rebuilt in
cemetery. Good point. Yeah, did you finish the point yet?
No, not at all. Anyway, so, and what, and when we were up at that monument, when we all, were in separate circles and everything, and when you were saying the mourner's cottage, I don't know if anyone saw, but there were 3 people behind us, a man and 2 women. And the man came up and he joined us, and he's, sang everything
With the
on his head.
monument?
With his
Oh, yeah,
eyes.
he put up-
And he
I thought
put
that
his
was
camera
great.
case on top to cover his head and everything. And all of a sudden, his wife burst out crying and went over
She
to the
did?
side. She did.
Yeah.
And
How old was this lady?
about
50.
50
That
or
was
so.
Trump.
Was she? I don't know.
I thought you saw
Was she wearing a red
They
dress?
came over everyone
No, they were Polish. They were Polish.
Do Polish people go to those things too? Or, I mean,
You'll see tomorrow. We're going to Auschwitz to see who comes.
Okay, so that really touched me. But the scary thing about it is, to be here and see it is so great because, what scares me is that when we're older, our kids are going to hear about it, and as we say 6 million, it's so hard to comprehend that it really ever happened, and we sit here.
We actually thought it was living.
I just want to tell you something to mention this. You should have seen. He was appalled when when you go to the Library of New York and they have lions and everybody climbs on it to take a picture with the lions, or some sort of big sculpture in the park. You all jump on it and hang on it. And you have nothing like that in Florida. You guys never saw a big sculpture. You all stood on it, take a picture.
You go to a boat, you all get on the boat and you take pictures
Yeah.
of everyone around.
The way there's nothing in all of the United States where every Jew contributed 1 month to 2 months' pay. Every single Jew to one single cause. It's a good point. I wanted to go not with the Shagets store guy, but I wanted to go with the Jew, and he was there in the ghetto, and he walked over the dead bodies in the street, and he was there when it was dedicated to 20,000 Jews, 20,000 survivors. I mean, that scene must have been awesome. I mean, it must have tore God's heart out. That you see 20,000 Jews in tatters. Can't imagine what it was like. But the fact is that we hear, and we heard it directly, and for the next generation, it's going to be just another monument that we pass by in the street. And you were here, we would be here, at least a witness. Yes? Tiffany, what's your point? You had your hand up before.
I'm sorry.
Seth?
I want to say something else. It really bothers me. Okay, I think this is one of the things that bothers me most. When we're sitting on the bus and he starts talking about, this happened and the Poles and what was it, 700 or 800,000 whatever Poles died, and 85% of those or 90% of those were Jewish. But is the word Jewish ever mentioned? No. And the other thing that really bothers me is
I think he avoids questions.
He does, but I have another. There's something else that bothers me much more. He once he mentioned the ghetto uprising, and how many times he referred to the Warsaw uprising. Well, the Warsaw uprising happened when the city was surrounded by the Allies, and the Germans had obviously lost. Okay, the Poles and who's ever listening, enjoy this. They really had no guts, okay? Because when the ghetto uprising happened on the second day, the Jews were being really successful. The Germans marched out of the ghetto, or ran out of the ghetto in terror twice because this little band of basically unarmed Jews repelled them, okay? And a message was sent through all the underground channels, and it was received by all the underground networks to revolt. And if they'd revolted, they might have won. But what did they do? Once they gave arms, and then they said, forget it. And basically, they totally said, let the Jews fight their own war and let them lose their own war. And the Germans really had no guts when they brought in planes and they bombed the ghetto, these little unarmed Jews. They bombed them because they didn't have the guts to fight them. And
I wanted to speak to this fellow, Mark Edelman, before the ghetto was still alive, but we couldn't arrange it. Would you want to speak to Vlad Hamid? That's Mr. Mead's wife.
She wrote the book.
She was on the other side. She was not in the ghetto. She was outside of the ghetto. She looked non-Jewish, and therefore she was able to live outside and do small things. Would you want to talk to her?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Please. She's trying to set it up maybe in Israel. Yeah.
Real quick. Okay, first to say, I'm glad that they don't try to say that. You know why? Because then you can feel mean, and that you can feel you're right. Because I was gonna say this before. They try to make. I'm saying, Poland is a beautiful country. They want to try to make it like this. They want to try to make it look like nothing ever happened. You have to understand. Yeah, that's what I want. You have to look at them and say, you're an anti-Semite because you want to try to hide it all, and you want to do everything like that. And that's what I'm glad, because that makes me feel different and say, I'm a Jew, and that makes me feel different that they don't sympathize. I agree. And there's one other thing I have to say to Rachel, that you have to understand, whenever we look at something, we're looking at the bad side. When you're born, you start to die. Do you ever think of it like that? So you got to be when you're born, you're dying already, right? You may be growing, but you're dying, and that's the way you're looking at it. You have to be thankful for God to whatever He gives you. I'm not saying I gave Him the right to kill us.
What's it thankful to be for?
To live, to love.
What is it thankful to be if everyone you love and know was taken away and burnt in prison? What is it to be thankful?
Are you saying you'd rather never be born at all?
If I was living there, would you be able to say, I'm glad I wasn't born? I mean, I'm glad I wasn't born then.
See, as you're looking at the bad side, you have to be thankful for what God gave you.
Yeah, but when God didn't give you anything, and everything He might have given you for a few seconds,
everything, man.
What if He gave you a life without love? I mean, if everything that you've ever loved, can you imagine your whole family dying? Everybody you know. Can you
First of all, when
imagine?
you die, when you're killed because you're Jewish, first of all, you go straight to right? You go straight to God. If you're killed just because you're a Jew, the only reason that someone killed you or someone acted mean to you, and you died because of it,
but it's a mitzvah to
you
live.
didn't die. You're still living. And so, first of all, you have to be thankful for what you have. No matter what kind of hell you go through, you want to live. You feel yourself, even though some people killed other people, you yourself always have the yearning to live. And that's what you got to look for. You have to be thankful for what chance you have. That's because you're looking at the bad side. That's what I feel. You have to be thankful for what you have. You have to say, look, we have a God here, right? And think about yourself. You got 613 laws. Right? Now, if you break one law, be thankful. A thunderbolt doesn't come and zap you. He gives you time. You can change stuff. You can become a better person.
Okay.
Could I slightly change the subject just a little bit?
Whatever you want.
To talk about yesterday and the kids.
Talk about yesterday.
And the kids. And the way the way that they dealt with us. Not so much the adults, but especially a lot of them. The anti-Semitism, the looks, the actions. That's what moved me the most of anything.
What looks did you see legal
in the city?
But it's very hard.
Yes.
Like this.
The one that really got to me.
Oh, it's not plugged in. Here, wait a minute. I have the plug. Bring it over here. We're gonna have to shut off the camera for a second, okay? Can we shut off the camera for a second?
We were walking to the bus, from looking at the old town and looking at right after we'd seen that mermaid thing. It was like over. We're going back, and we walked past. There were like two kids, little boys, and they were just walking the same direction we were, and just kept looking. At me and I don't remember. They were just just every now and then double taking and just looking back to see what we were doing and laughing. and saying things to each other. You know, that was okay. I figured, you know, they thought we were strange and they were laughing at each other. It was a little mean. You know, it was like, you know, a little scary the way they were looking and talking. But you couldn't, I mean, there were 2 kids. And then they joined up, there were like 4 more, and then 5 more. And then it turns out there was like I think it ended up with 10 or 12 kids, all little boys, all just talking and looking that like a game. You know, they couldn't have been more than 9, you know, years old. And there was one adult with them who just kind of watched them and was like chuckling.
What other incidents?
Scared me to death.
They don't know what Jews are.
What other incidents?
There was also, I heard about a little girl. I didn't see it though, I couldn't tell you, but I
Who saw the little girl?
I saw it.
Will you tell us about the little girl?
Walking like
I mean, I feel like, okay, they live in Poland, they don't see a big group of people laughing and smiling and talking like we were talking. Maybe we were just strange. Maybe it wasn't that we're Jewish.
The adults I don't mind, but the kids.
No, I'm talking about kids. Kids are mean. Little kids
Nobody
are
here-
always
here with
mean.
them.
Listen to this.
I can't hear you.
What's the
Go
other
to
one?
Alan, please.
There was about 5 of us were walking, and there were a few little girls following us. I think they were about 5 or 6. And we were just walking, and all of a sudden she started laughing, and I don't know, they were talking in Polish or whatever, and she started walking like a Nazi, you know, with the smile, salute. And she was just doing that, and you couldn't do anything because she's a little kid, a 6-year-old kid. You can't, I mean, what do you want to hit her? That's lowering to their level, but if she was older, you could lower to their level. But she was little. And I mean, we just walked, and I don't know, I felt helpless.
Oh, he has them too.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, you know, have you ever walked through New York with 20 people? If you walk through New York and you're walking through the bad part of town and nobody there likes Jews, right? Of course they're going to yell at you and everybody laughs at you when you just, you know, seriously, in New York, people yell at you across the street. You know, you Jew. In Baltimore, they do it too. And we're walking here, there's never been Jews here. We're being so critical of everybody just because, you know, there's never people here walking with yarmulkes. They must be looking at us like we're totally zany. And we're out of our minds. And if I was a Polish person, I'd look at us like we were crazy also. Not necessarily that they're anti-Semitic, but all they've been brought up with is that tens and thousands of Jews have been killed. There are no Jews here left. So when they see us, what the only reaction is what they learned. And what did they learn? That they were killed and about the Nazis and this, that, nothing. I mean,
every time they see someone with yarmulke,
they
came over to us today in that shop where we got the sodas. These guys came over with us. They said, you Israeli. Every time they see yarmulkes, they think that we're Israeli. We go, no, we're Americans.
Yeah, the thing is,
they knew our culture. They had more respect.
We're probably being so critical of everyone. I mean, you know. It's
obviously they wouldn't be, because when they knew our culture, they didn't seem to have a whole hell of a lot of respect.
I wasn't being critical though, I just said it scared me. I
one generation later, 40 years later, I don't see why.
They're not the same.
Something different. I was scared too because I've never seen it before. I was scared. I've never seen it before. So
I'm not quite sure you would say that if they knew our culture.
What did you think about
I mean, seriously, I think it does look funny. I think it's something different. I've never seen anything.
What do you think about doing something like that? You think it was wrong?
We had a control test. Where
it was wrong for us to do something like that?
I think it's wonderful. I mean, it's something. It's what y'all do. It's what you. I don't know. It's normal for y'all. It's just something I've never seen before, and it's different. That's all.
Tiffany, and then Naomi, and that's it. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Leah, and then Naomi.
I was going to say, as far as these people and the Polish people, how they reacted, sometimes I noticed the people were staring at us, were just looking because they didn't know us. But other times, it was a look of disgust. It went right through me. Like, you couldn't mistake it, the difference between the looks. There were some people who just did not recognize us, and some people definitely did. And the reason why we all stereotype, and like you're saying, we're coming in with those attitudes. We've got a lot of history behind us to feel that way.
This wasn't them. No, it wasn't them, but for 100 years when there were Jews in Poland, they persecuted us. Now there aren't any Jews. They're not so anti-Semitic. Therefore, we should assume that if there were, they would be. I don't think that's safe. For 100 years, they persecuted Jews in Poland.
I'm just saying that it's normal.
Yeah, they were talking. Once they invited Jews, okay? The king invited Jews to help the economy. Once the economy was helped, they started persecuting Jews. And now we're supposed to say there aren't any Jews, they don't persecute Jews anymore. Therefore, if they knew our culture, they would stare at us.
No,
I don't buy it.
No, but it's the same thing in New York.
You're right, they are different people.
Maybe a person can change. They're different people.
They are different people. But the culture persecuted Jews for 1,000 years.
Your grandfather's a reformer. you're going to be reformed?
I mean,
No, obviously it doesn't. I'm not.
So they were anti-Semitic.
But not necessarily.
I'm just not saying that's the safe thing to say. Maybe you're right.
Be critical just because they were.
Not only
Because they're still staring at it.
Double.
What I think is like.
Listen to me, listen to me. Sean.
Oh, okay. I think it is also like really wonderful to see like a group of us gathering because it's not often. And you go to Israel and you take it for granted that you're seeing these people. Probably in about 100 years, I don't think Israel will be there, and I think Israel, the state as itself, will be there, but it won't be Israel. And unless
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
as far as seeing us yesterday jogging in front of the bus, and everyone was gathering around watching, and I see there were men walking by, and I saw them, and as they walked by, they went back and they sat down. They just sat there watching you all, and in a way, I felt like it was rude, but I thought it was better because they'd never seen anything like this.
They walked past it, it says in the blood.
Yeah, the opening missed by the Onion soldier. You saw this family, that family stopped.
Yeah, and it's like, it was really nice to see, but,
No, they're just curious.
because it's great for, you know, I think it's great for just anyone to see a group of Jews together being able to daven like that. And
Hey, what about the, you said something about Israel and Gaza?
that's separate, never mind. It's a long story.
But hey, I have a comment to make. While we were at the Unknown Soldier Tomb, I was making fun of the soldiers. I mean, I wasn't. Maybe I didn't mean to. I was trying to see how it was to walk like that. But for the Polish people to see me, it looked like I was making fun of them, and other people were doing it too. But you know, it's just something new.
The Ronhue show, everybody's laughing.
But then the Polish soldiers scared me
Yeah,
too.
it probably was rude.
I mean, I thought about it after Fall Street, and I just thought it was fun and funny and something to try. But then afterwards, it was
Well, I don't know. I saw them staring, and I don't know how you felt. I felt great. Let's scream louder.
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
I'll show you
When we were
together.
standing there,
Like when no, seriously, I was the first person off the plane, okay? I was pushed off the plane first. And you know, I walked down the stairways and I was thinking, you know, I was about to step on what was once, you know, the biggest country for Jews in the world. And it was the center of Judaism. I was thinking about that. And, you know, I sort of stepped off the plane and, I mean, I tend to be an arrogant person, people say, but, you know, like I stuck my nose in the air, and I said to myself, you know, I'm a Jew, I'm wearing a kippah, I'm here, and I'm proud of it. You know, and that was the first thing I thought of when I came into Poland.
The Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, which is the basis of our halacha today. This was done, or Yosef Karo basically was a Sephardic descent, so there are more in italics in the Shulchan Aruch and the Code of Jewish Law is the final word on Ashkenazic halacha. Now, so he was considered he is a very great man, and as he mentioned before, his tombstone was not destroyed because even non-Jews respected him and understood that he was a great man, and they afraid, yeah. So they were afraid to tamper with this stone and with this place. It's also a custom that we don't pray to the dead, but we do say some prayers there, as it is considered a holy place, and a kbittel is a custom that you put a note with your name and your mother's name in Hebrew.
Listen, I need to kill him.
Listen to that.
How do you, I want to erase the date.
There you go.
These were in other, the Nazis, these are from buildings that were taken by the Nazis, and they, for Talmud Torahs and other dedications, and they put them here in the wall so that they can at least have some memory and andenken of these lessons. And this one was made by the Americans. You can see many other Christian, Rifkin, that's last. This is Mr. Yakubovich. The new Schreiber fiddler? Okay.
Who in the world is Henry Landau?
Landau. That's what you get when I'm doing the taping. Yep.
The things that we see in the wall, these plaques, were actually in the street and around the city. But when the Nazis invaded, they were taken. But when the Nazis invaded, they were taken and brought this last area of Jewish heritage and culture. So they would be a remnant and remembrance for people. Thank you.
Keith, you're a beautiful person.
How the other side is the place that I'm on. That's a place. Little Goyim. Goyim? Ja, wie viel in Kruk in Krukke? 250 dan. Mit zusammen.
Alle sammen zusammen gegeben, für alle Juden.
Nicht alles. Ich wohne in anderen
All right, everyone, come inside here. This building is from the 16th century. I took the 16th and the 1500s. Famous person Rabbi is Shul. You can see over here his feet where that plaque is, and that's where he died, and that's where he said. In Poland, they were very famous for in their synagogues. Firstly, they had wooden synagogues. Most of them were burned, and also they did a lot of painting like that on the walls. You don't see it in America so much anymore. But when I was a child, the schools that I went to all had paintings, so they had talent to do that as well. So you can take a picture. This building was used as a storage for uniforms. Germans during the war, and that's why it was not destroyed. Also, the plaque over there, half of it is replaced and was reconditioned after the war, and you can see that on TV. So you can take a look over there in the front, and from here we'll go to the cemetery. I'm talking about some of the people who were buried there. There lived in this city about 65,000 Jews before the war, and approximately 300,000, about 1 in 3 of the people in the community were Jewish. Most of the people who lived in Brooklyn, they may have seen it. Right? Most of the people who lived in Krakow were
Aber gesprochen Polnisch, nicht Jiddisch.
Yeah, they spoke Yiddish over here. Okay. So let us, if you want to take some pictures from over here.
We just have time just to browse.
Take it for a shortcut. You're not allowed to walk in without anything. For instance, if you have to go through the building, you're not allowed to do so for no reason. And so what the custom is that when you're there, you sit down for a second and you say Tehillim. So maybe we'll say a few words of Tehillim over here before we leave, all right?
Right now we are in the shul of...
What?
Okay.
What am I saying? Am I talking?
Yeah.
We're entering. You want to do it as we're walking in the door. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Entering the Jewish cemetery, and the one goes here beautifully by the kever, and we're going to walk slowly but
Is
swiftly.
that the rose? You got the rose?
Huh? You got the rose?
I think that was the rose.
That was the rose. Rabbi wants you.
We're walking fast through the cemetery.
Watch where you're going.
Right now, we're secretly replacing Sanka brand coffee and the actual coffee of these people.
Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah. What's your name?
I'm sorry.
We'll say some till him.
I'm not gonna say anything bad about it.
Anybody else?
Rabbi, you dropped it. This is the place?
Yeah, put it under that stone.
I have a question.
Okay, let's see. Tell him. Who are the till him?
I know.
Anybody else?
Anybody have a till him over here?
Dale, where's Till?
Mr. Rabbi.
Leah gave it to you, Rabbi. She never got back.
Hey, Rabbi.
I gave it to you. That little tiny till him?
It's back.
Oh, I gave it to Howard.
It's back there. It's back there.
Okay, fine. I need a till him.
Where? Back there?
In the shul.
On the what?
In the shul on the beamer.
We'll say it for a couple of little till him. What do you know? Somebody mentioned last night, a very beautiful thought. Where is Mom Tim and Leon Tim? Well, we were yesterday in Krakow, in Warsaw. The most Jewish-looking place was the cemetery. The only remembrance of that you could see from past history was the cemetery. And Hitler even wanted to destroy that last remembrance. This was all destroyed except for the stone, and this Mr. Yakubovich has resurrected this cemetery.
Rabbi.
Okay, now say I'm going to David.
Later. Bye-bye.
Which one are you looking for?
What? Okay, Lamantzech Mizmor David. Adonai Haishiyan Melech Yaneinu B'Yom Koreinu.
Adonai Haishiyan Melech Yaneinu B'Yom Koreinu.
The last three sentences of this paragraph until him says that they with their horses and with their chariots, but us with we mention God's name. The nations of the world use strength, physical force, and we depend on God. Hemo Karavin follow, they fall down. V'anachnu kamnu v'nesayda, and we will rise again. Hashem Oshia Hamnalakeinu B'Yom Koreinu. Hashem will help us, but we have to ask. After 1,000 years of Jewish life in Poland, the most we have are cemeteries. There are very few Jews left. From 65,000, there are a handful of Jews. There's a minyan on Friday night. The whole city of Krakow, where Jewish life was very, very full. We fall down, we rise up again throughout the world. many Jews today in the United States, in Israel, in Western Europe. There are many Jewish communities. All God asks us is to remember, to ask. All we have to do is to ask and turn to God, and He will answer us. The custom is to leave a stone as a marker that we were here. And we also do not go back into the same grave twice. Once you're in a grave, once in a day, you never go back. You go every day, but not twice in a day. Also, if you're wearing tzitzis, you should cover them up, because you don't wear your tzitzis out. Lucas, his name was after the sefer he wrote, which is uncovering the hidden, the Razain, Umatmainim, and all secrets. He was a Makubal who, right? What?
What's a makubal?
Means he was a Kabbalist, the secrets of the Torah. And it says, they say on him, listen to this, is everyone here? That he, in every generation we believe that there are people who have Gilei Eliyahu, that means that they can speak to Eliyahu HaNavi. That even though there is no longer any prophecy in our generation, there no longer is a prophet, but in order for the oral tradition, which is the interpretation of our way of life, to remain, there have to be in every generation those tzaddikim who do have revelation from Eliyahu HaNavi who taught them Torah. One of such people was, of course, Yosef Karo wrote the Shulchan Aruch, and I would imagine that it's possible. I know for sure that the Ramah had Gilei Eliyahu. That's written. It says on him, on a tombstone. It says that this man, Eliyahu HaNavi, the prophet, Elijah the prophet, appeared to him. You do not write on a tombstone any praise that is you're not worthy of, because then it hurts your life. It hurts your afterlife. So if they wrote this about this man, that he spoke to Eliyahu HaNavi, that means that this man was so great that they are not afraid to say that he spoke to Eliyahu HaNavi. In the 1920s, my wife's grandfather came to the city of Kharkiv. He was from Russia, and he went to this grave of Megala Mukas. I'm coming here 60 years after my grandfather came here to this grave. And you could see, you can't read the stones, but he saw the stone next to it said, Isha Shepina es Asmai Lakan, a man who moved over here. And what he did was, he asked to see the Pinkus, which is in every community, they had a record of the history of each town. And he said, I want to see the Pinkus, I want to see the historical records. And he looked up the record to see why this person had a tombstone saying, Isha Shepina es Asmai Lakan, a man who moved himself over here. And this was the following story that he saw written in there. This Pinkus was lost in the war, but I'm telling you the story that I heard it from my grandfather who saw it himself. That this was in the 16th century. This was many hundreds of years ago. One time a man came to the city of Kharkiv, and he went to the head of the Chevra Kadisha, of the burial society, and said, I want to buy a grave. So they said, of course, we'll sell you a grave. We'll sell you a place. So he said, what do you want? But I want a special place. And he said, where? He said, I want to be buried next to the Megala Amukas. I want to be buried next to this man. He said, you're crazy. He said, I can't sell it to you. How can I? It's reserved only for great tzaddikim. You don't give a grave away to anybody unless they are worthy of it. So the man kept on insisting until he paid him a tremendous amount of money. Has been this and that Zibitzin. He died in 1702. He died in 1702. So the man came in the 18th century, and he gave him a tremendous sum of money to be buried next to the Megala Mukas. So the person from the Chevra Kadisha was overwhelmed by the amount, and he said, look, he's a young man, I'll take the money, and if he dies, we'll bury him in a good place, maybe not next to him, and nobody will know the difference. The man goes to sleep, and the next morning they wake up, the stranger in Kharkiv, died. And nobody knew who he was, except for the head of the Chevra Kadisha, the Burial Society. And they took him and they buried him in a very hush of a place, even though nobody knew who he was, and they left it there. That night, the man who just died came to the head of the Chevra in a dream, and he said, I bought from you the place of the Megala Amukas. I bought from you specially this gravesite. I want to be there. He woke up in the morning, he said, I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm sure that it was just, I was so concerned about it that I dreamed about it. The next night, the man came to him in a dream. The deceased came to him in a dream and said, I want to be buried next to the Megala Amukas. I bought it, it's mine. He started to worry a little bit, but he didn't say anything. The third night, the man came to the head of the Chevra in a dream, and he said to him, I want to be buried next to the Megala Amukas. Finally, when he wakes up in the morning, the head of the Chevra goes to him and to people, goes to the Rabbi of the community, and he says, look, the man came, and I sold him the grave, and I came to me a dream, I don't know what to do. So they took a minyan, they took a quorum, 10 people, and they came to the grave of the Megala Amukas. And they said to him, we don't know who this Jew is. No, they went to the grave of the person who died. And they went with a minyan and a Sefer Torah, and they told him that if you deserve to be buried next to the Megala Amukas, then you go there. That's what they did. The next morning, they saw a furrow, like a tunnel, like when you dig on the ground, you see earth moved from the grave next to the Megala Amukas. Now it doesn't say, you can't see this over here. You don't know what's written over here.
You don't know which one it is?
But it has to be, I don't know which one it is. But this is his wife. It could be in the head, it could be in the back, it could be one of these places. But my grandfather saw the stone and saw the story, and the man moved by himself, and therefore the stone said, Ish, Ashapina is Atzmar Lakan. I remember the language on the stone. They didn't know who he was, and that language, that's the language that I heard from my own grandfather, what he saw here in Krakow in 1920. So he's a holy man. We're going to say another kapitel Tehillim. You should have in mind that in the schus of, in the merit of this great person, that if you have any special prayers, that it should be heard, and that we should be heard again. I'm going to say.
Michelle? Michelle?
Are you there?
Oh, it's okay. No, Judy?
Yeah?
I have it on now. How many tombstones, how many stones do you think are on this wall?
I have no idea.
Take a rough guess.
2,000?
Really? A wall full of stones.
When did it built it? How do you know who built it?
No. Each one another person. Each stone.
You see the hand?
Can you listen? It was rebuilt at the beginning of 60s after the war and turned into the museum. What is that? The Holy Ark. Holy Ark.
This is typical of the architecture. You hear a terrific sound. You can hear me whenever you can hear me over there. If you stay in the middle, it's even more sound. Get in the middle. Get in the middle. Up there. Not one word. Are you speaking loud?
Wow.
Speaking normal.
That's what they didn't need any microphones in here.
Acoustic is not good here.
What?
Acoustic is not good here because it was required here because echo is.
This fine on the top over here on display is from the famous press of Zhytomyr. There were two famous presses of printing presses. There were the brothers, the Ram family in Vilna, and Zhytomyr. The family and the Zhytomyr press were famous that they immersed. Excuse me, Rachel. Was famous because they immersed the presses into a mikveh, and there were two competing presses. Today, what we see in the Talmud is mostly the Vilna Shas, but this is very rare, very valuable because many of them were not left over. There's a famous story with the children. There were tremendous battles between copyrights. And the Zhytomyr was Russian. Yeah. The famous story with the Zhytomyr, with the brother of the Zhytomyr press, they were given over. Some Jews had given them over to as saying that they were not loyal, and they were put in jail. And you know the famous story?
Michelle, just wait, okay?
What happened? There's a famous story with these two brothers. What they used to do is you used to have to walk between two rows of soldiers and they would club you. And they had to walk past. And in the middle of the way, one of the kippah fell off. And they went back to get the kippah and then went through, so they had to get extra
These are the famous things printed in the with the mikveh. This is the mikveh stuff. Where the press is dipped in the mikveh.
People live from here. And you could walk around. You should notice how far civilization was. They may have some pictures. I saw in Dachau they have a picture.
We just got off the bus now.
Live right across the street. Now some of you. I think one of the big questions for all of us is that of silence and apathy. I mean, what would you do if you were in that kind of circumstance? If you knew they were burning people alive, and they obviously did, and you say nothing. Many of the trains that you saw today along the side of the road, the cattle cars, were the very same cars that were used in the war. We didn't get a chance to go to any of the little villages, but if you go to the little villages, it's just as primitive as it was 50 years ago. You were in Krakow, and you saw the pictures of how it looked in 1905. The city has not changed much, so a lot of it remains the same. Treblinka. Yeah. Does anybody know the difference between Auschwitz and Treblinka?
Yeah.
What?
Treblinka was entirely a death camp, and
Yeah.
Auschwitz also.
There was no selection. Do you know who owned Auschwitz? Owned, yes. No. All these camps were labor camps owned by corporations. They were slave labor camps. This is why the Krupp, Alfred Krupp, you know what the Krupp family makes? You know what the Krupp family makes? Mercedes. The company that runs Mercedes owned this, And Alfred Krupp was the only unrepentant Nazi in the Nuremberg trials. He, after the war, some of the Nazis said maybe they did something wrong, maybe, and offered reparations, money, of what value money will.
Proszę otworzyć, proszę otworzyć. Say, proszę otworzyć. Look, this is the entrance to the bar. You see bar gastronomiczny. So after this first part of the visit, you will be able to have some drinks over there.
Oh, sure.
They drink it. This guy.
Yes, it is true, because during the war when I was 15 and 16, I was the prisoner in a concentration camp in Płaszów too.
You in Płaszów?
In Płaszów, yes, near the...
That was a work camp?
Yes, it was a work camp.
The Jews from Krakow.
But near the camp in Warsaw, in Płaszów, was the special concentration camp for Jewish people, yes?
Yes.
Who are of Jewish...
So why were you in a concentration camp?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why were you in a concentration camp?
Because my father was a Polish officer in Polish army, resistance army during the Second World War. But before the war, he was an officer in Polish army. Yes. From my family, they killed 2 persons in this camp. My uncle and in Ravensbrück concentration camp.
Were there a lot of Jews in Auschwitz? How do you pronounce it?
Sorry. Oświęcim, it is named Auschwitz. Auschwitz. Yes. Because before the Second World War, here was a special garrison army where Nazis established a special concentration camp for prisoners as a death camp. Yes. In the first time, the Nazis established this concentration camp in the barracks Polish army. And in 1941 established second part of this camp in Birkenau and third part in Monowice. All past these concentration camps was surrounded by 4-meter high electrified barbed wire fences, and in July 1940 the Nazis that gave the description Arbeit macht frei, work brings freedom. On the left side we can see wooden barrack, which was as a bureau office of manager of this camp, register newcomers, those people who introduced into the camp, and those people who in every day the Nazis sent into their workplaces, because all inmates from this camp, like other concentration camps, the Nazis used as slave workers in different factories. For example, in this town, in Oświęcim, during the war were together 10 concentration camps. This one, Birkenau, Monowice, 3 parts. This camp, complex of extermination camp, 2 special concentration camps for prisoners of war, British prisoners of war and French prisoners of war, and 5 labor camps for people from Italy, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Ukraine, and from Polish territory. And all inmates from those concentration camps, the Nazis used as slave workers in different
Were
factories.
Jews in the other slave camps too?
Yes.
They were in all the slave camps?
No, all Jewish people, because only 5% of total Jewish people who arrived into the camp introduced into the camp. The rest of them, 95% of total Jewish population at once sent to gas chamber.
Right away?
Straight away to gas. Yes. Straight away to gas.
So only 5% actually live.
Yes, and 5% only lived here.
The 5% was 150,000 Jews, right?
Sorry?
150,000 Jews lived in Auschwitz too, is that correct?
200,000 Jewish people. 200,000 Jewish people introduced into the camp after the special selection, and about more than 200,000 people another groups. Half of those people who introduced into the camp were Jewish people, and the rest another groups. Together were 405,000 people who introduced into the camp after the special selection, and the rest of them were sent at once straight away to gas. And on the right side, excuse me, you can see baragus head of chimney. This baragus as a kitchen where produced food for our prisoners in this concentration camp here. We can see blocks number 4, 5, 6, block number 11, the special Jewish museum, 27, and in last time gas chamber and crematorium.
That's
then,
two.
Yes, sorry?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, and then we can go to second part of this camp into Birkenau, where you can see rest after the concentration camp.
What was this again? What was this?
On the right side is the kitchen. Yes, and now follow this. But Oświęcim has a special tragic history. Special tragic history. Because those buildings, which you can see now, were built during the First World War. First World War. And during the First World War, in this place were a special concentration camp for prisoners of war from Italy and from French. After the First World War, here were a special concentration camp for Poles who Czech government exmitted from Czechoslovakia, and Polish authorities located those people in these barracks. In September 1939, in this place, the Nazi authorities, German authorities, located here the special concentration camp for Polish prisoners of war. And from 14 June 1940, here existed a special concentration camp as a death camp. Camp where perished here about 4 million people. Among of those who perished here were 1,400,000 people from Polish territory, about 460,000 Jewish people from Hungary, 200,000 from Russia, 180,000 from Romania, 148,000 from Czechoslovakia, 86,000 from French, 80,000 from Austria, 60,000 from Holland, 52,000 from Greece, 37 from Italy, 26 from Belgium, 25,000 from Germany, Jewish people from Germany, and other countries. But
a total of 4 million people were killed here, right?
Together,
Extermination camp.
Extermination, 4 million people perished here.
And out of how many of those were Jews from the 4 million?
3 million Jewish people.
3 million?
3 million Jewish people perished during the war in this camp and in Birkenau concentration camp. But during the Second World War, at the Europe territory were 11 million Jewish people. 11 million Jewish people. Most of them there were in Russia, more than 5 million. And the Polish territory were 3,104,000 Jewish population. But 6 million of those perished in different places, in concentration camps, like this one, Birkenau, Treblinka, Majdanek, Chełmnosz, Tutchow, and other concentration camps. Płaszów, for example. And part of them that were killed in the ghettos and in the mass extermination places too. And half of those people, Jewish people, from 6 million Jewish people perished in Auschwitz, Birkenau concentration camp. Auschwitz was that place where Nazis realized program of mass extermination Jewish population from all countries in Europe. And now follow this. This is very important thing. All part of this concentration camp was surrounded by wire fences, watchtower, land on the right side, and bomb shelter. On the right side you can see the special bomb shelter against the bomb. Yeah.
Where the train stop?
The train stop? Train
stop.
It is very important
Jeff, when you finish,
to get into the concentration camp. All victims arrive in different times at different places. In the first time, all transports arrive at the special track near the park. So, near the park is the special tracks where arrive transports with the inmates into the camp in 1940 and 1941. In second time, it was between 1942 to 1943. All Jewish people who were sent to Auschwitz arrived here at the special Judenram, Jewish ramp.
Where is that?
Between the train station in Oświęcim, Auschwitz, and concentration camp in Birkenau.
That's not named here.
Yes, not here. And in last time only, it was in 1944, all transport arrived in the terrain, into that terrain area of the camp in Birkenau. You can see in Birkenau the train station, and in this exhibition a lot of photographs, newcomers, and the platform in the camp.
Your parents were killed here in Auschwitz?
Sorry?
Your parents? Your
parents?
You said 3 members of your family were killed in concentration.
From my family, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, from my family, they killed here a brother of my father. He was pharmacist. Pharmacist, yes. And in Ravensbrück concentration camp, 2 persons, 2 women, grandmother and aunt.
Were killed where?
Sorry?
They were killed here?
No, in Ravensbrück concentration camp. Ravensbrück. 2 persons in Ravensbrück and
what about your father?
My father survived.
Survived?
He survived because he escaped from
Poland?
No, from Poland. From his house into the forest, and he was an officer in underground army, in the resistance army. Yes, and now this.
He talks incredibly fast now, and I can't get any notes.
Really? Tell the rabbi to tell him slower.
I can't. He's like, he has a set plan.
Tell the rabbi.
When prisoners were going to the work and after the work come back into their camp. That photo was taken in 1941, in that time when part of barracks in this camp were on the ledge of second stories. Because part of barracks before the war, here were 1-story buildings.
Where was the photo? Right here?
Yes. Because during the war, this barrack, kitchen barrack, were added. This part you can see on the left side is brick, were added during the war. One moment only. In this barrack you can see on the left side, in 1941, in October, the Nazi authorities established the special concentration camp for Arabs.
Crematorium that they just stacked them like wood and burned people in a pit.
Yes, in that time when crematorium could not burn, all bodies were burned under fires, but in the first time and last time when this concentration camp was existing, part of bodies were located into mass graves. And then on the right side, you can see photo of Jewish people from Greece. Look now, the selection that were transferred into the camp.
What was right, what was left?
Yes, but the rest of them, children, women, red men, women, intelligence, old people, sick people, invalids, scientists, are the ones who are located here on the special row, and then, yes, and then sent to gas chamber.
Which one was the gas chamber, right or left?
In Birkenau was 6 gas chambers.
So, but it said right was, which selection was which?
It was on the right side.
Right side was that?
Yes, to that. On the left, to the right. Here. You can see moment of when by the finger were chosen place to the camp or to the gas. Excuse me one moment only, because I want to tell you and show you that photo. It is photo of Dr. Joseph Mengele. He selected people, Jewish people from Hamburg, on the train station in Birkenau. That photo was taken in 1944, in May 1944. Like other photographs. You can see here the train station in Birkenau after the selection. You can see empty wagons on the tracks and a lot of luggage. Because a lot of people, Jewish people, arrived in the camp like resettled people, because Germans told them they go to the resettlement, to another ghettos, another concentration camps.
Cindy, what is this stuff? These are the children's clothes. The children's clothes they took away. Now we have suitcases.
I proszę prawej strony. Dziecko ją...
country too. For example, you can see number prisoner, red color of the uncle, and the president.
What was she?
Sorry?
What kind of prisoner was she?
Yes, political prisoners.
Political?
Political prisoners. But Jewish people, all Jewish people in this camp was decorated by David stars, right? You can see that. In two colors, in red and yellow colors. On the left side you can see original. Yes.
How many died right away?
After the war.
How many died right away?
Woman liberation. How many died? In the hospital. In the hospital, 500 people. 500 died after the liberation. But all people who died in the hospitals were located in one grave. And in 28 February 1945 was the special ceremony where 21 graves were put down.
Soap soup?
Which one's what? Which one's which?
It's soup.
John, which one's which?
This is the soup. This is coffee with sugar. That's what he said. There's a little thing of margarine back here. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's bread. For one day. 12-hour day. 12 to 14-hour working
That's
day.
all they had.
1,300 calories. 1,300 calories. That was for the day. 1,300 calories.
per day.
Only 5 children introduced into the camp. Those children who use as a material for medical experiments, medical examinations. Most of them were twins, because medical doctor person Mengele used twins as a material for medical researches, yes? And between the windows you can see two pairs of twins, Jewish twins and gypsies in the sides. They killed here by injection of phenol into the heart. And moment of liberation. In that moment, it was in 27 January 1945, in the camp were present 186 children. And 11 of them were those children who were born in the camp. Babies were born in this concentration camp. Were born in this concentration camp. Yes.
They were alive?
Yes, they are alive.
So the nurse, and when the children were born here, she used to kill them. Instead of letting them be killed by the Nazis, the children was stillborn. And one time in New York, she was a doctor again and delivered a child, and she delivered a child from a woman who she had a lot. The picture's gonna shake.
Okay.
So it's much better. Just get up closer.
Were sterilized and castrated people, women and men, because original were completely destroyed by Nazis before the liberation this camp. Wall of death. 20,000 people was
Excellent.